Hey there, welcome to the Hot Slice, the weekly podcast brought to you by Pizza Today magazine. I'm your host, Jeremy White, editor in chief of Pizza Today, joined today by our esteemed executive editor,
Ooh,
Denise
esteemed.
Greer, and our very talented and amazing senior creative director, Josh Cowan.
Hello,
Hello,
Happy
gang.
New Year. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year indeed.
New year,
Oh,
new me. Yep.
New Year, new me. How about New Year, same me with new goals?
Well, that works too.
That works. No,
Because
I don't set New Year's resolutions. I haven't done that for about 15 years now because it one day
yeah,
occurred to me that no one, and I literally mean no one, ever keeps their New Year's resolutions. So to me, it's a waste. So I
It,
try to implement meaningful change as I go
that's
throughout the year versus say, hey, on January 1, I'm going to do X, Y, Z.
yeah, I
at
don't
the
do that.
very best, it is forgotten by the third week of January. What
Yes, yes.
I,
I
I've,
I
I've
I
done
think
dry January a couple times, and that's lasted the whole month. But
Yeah.
that's
yeah. I think I do just goals for the year for just to set myself up for success.
Mhm.
But I don't necessarily tie it into a resolution per se, because I kind of just tie it into a start and stop point. Hey, I would like to make sure that I'm connecting with more pizzeria operators in this new year. Like that's the way I do it. Like not just let me throw out a resolution that I'm not gonna keep
uh,
or be willing to do.
that
That's
said,
right.
it does feel like a nice reset when we get to a new year, and especially if you're taking some time off during the holidays. I'm probably taking the week before off, so it's like you're gone away from work enough that you're like, okay, I'm ready to go back, and it's a nice little reset anyway.
Yeah,
Everyone needs to take some time to decompress. And for our listeners who are pizzeria owners, it's their busiest time of the year. So
yeah.
they don't really get to take time off. They're going to have Christmas Day off typically, as they're usually not open for business that day. But New
Mhm.
Year's Eve, they're slammed. New Year's Day, they're slammed.
Yes.
So our pizza people don't have the luxury of really resetting so much right now. Once the kind of the gift card season ends and everyone starts to get their credit card bills from the holidays, then they
Yeah.
tend to not go out to eat much in the back half of January and early February. And that's kind of when our people can kind of take a deep breath and relax.
That's what I was gonna say is end of January, like right around like my birthday, which is January 30th, by the way, y'all.
All right.
But at the end of January, I feel like is when maybe they can take a breath and hopefully take time for themselves, maybe evaluate what they've had going on and kind of look at what they want to get out of their business or personally out of their lives. Because pizzeria operators tend to put everything, all of their life into their business. So, trying to
Yeah.
decide how to move forward with that and maybe, being able to devote a little bit of time to themselves as well.
For sure. Scott Anthony wrote a great article a few years ago about just the importance of, as a business owner, of taking some time to yourself for your own mental clarity and mental health. You can't just be go, 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 business, 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 24/7, 365, or you'll crash and burn.
Yeah, and Laura Meyer touched on it a little bit in her need to know in December that uh, that you have this idea when you start your pizzeria that you're going to be in there every minute and you're going to touch every pizza. And
Yeah.
it's not realistic if you really want to grow your business. If you want to grow the business side of your business, you've got to delegate. You've got to learn how to bring other people into the fold and create leaders within your organization.
Right.
So maybe that's a good goal for some operators as we look at 2025 is how to take their business to the next level where they can delegate, they can bring other people into the fold, where they can maybe step away for themselves or step away to work on the business side of their business.
Yeah, you want to work on your business more than in your business. That's
Mhm.
something when I was just starting out with Pizza Today and was really young. And there was a gentleman, some of our listeners here will remember this name, Dave Ostrander. He went by
Mhm.
Big Dave. And Big Dave one day at Pizza Expo told me, he's like, hey, got to work on the business, not in the business. That's how you achieve the financial goals that you want to achieve as a pizzeria owner. And that always stuck with me. And it's so true because if you're making every pizza and you're washing the dishes, well, you're not
Mhm.
really putting together a marketing plan and a growth plan, and you're not maximizing profitability at all. So that's
It's
great advice, Denise.
it's also a recipe for burnout. I mean,
Yeah.
real
Yeah,
fast.
for sure.
That's no good for anyone, especially your business. So yeah, so take some time to yourself, and slow down just a little bit. Slow yourself down a little bit. I've been trying to work on that myself. I feel
Yeah.
like I'm always in a rush to do everything, and I'm just trying to slow down a little bit more. And yeah, it helps.
Yeah. And I think, it's easy for us to look in from the outside because we're in different, our focus is different because we're in this magazine content side of things, and they're in a day-to-day operation side of things. And that is exactly why we bring in pizzeria operators to tell their stories and to share their own tips and their own strategies so that pizzeria operators can get it from the source. They're getting it from people that actually are sitting in restaurants. Now, I can tell you, we've all worked in restaurants. We know what it's like. We've been managers in restaurants. We know about it. But being in and day out is a little different, is a little different
Mhm.
machine.
It really is. I've always said that the most fun and exhilarating and tiring job that I ever had was a restaurant job. No questions asked.
Mhm. Absolutely. Well, on that, okay, because it's the new year and it's fun. What was your um, first or kind of oddest restaurant job that you had?
Oh, I know Josh is already, so I'm going to go first because I already know what Josh is going to say. Um, I was it honest job? Is that what you said? Or
No,
what was your
you're
Oh,
question?
oh,
oddest.
this restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just, just the one that stands out the most.
Well, what stands out the most to me is that I spent a summer. It was the summer after I graduated high school, before I went to college. I spent the summer working in a high-end luxury golf and tennis resort, and they had a variety of different restaurants. And I was a busser, so I was assigned to multiple restaurants. I may work a breakfast shift in a bistro, or I may work a lunch shift in a cafeteria type restaurant, or I may have worked a dinner shift in a really high end fancy white tablecloth restaurant. So I got to see the gamut of everything from simple continental breakfast to really high end chef driven 5 course meals and everything in between. And that was really eye-opening for me. And I guess what stood out for me is I went into it thinking, wow, the staff in this restaurant is going to be so much more sophisticated than the staff in the little breakfast bistro. And everyone was really dedicated and really hardworking. And I loved it all. I learned so much. That's probably what stood out to me.
Well, I'd say the my first job was at Hardee's, and for you guys on the West Coast, Carl's Jr.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I started like a couple weeks before Christmas, and they put me on fried chicken, and I was 16. I weighed about 105 pounds, and I was back there trying to cook my best to cook fried chicken. I was so out of my element. That job lasted like a month, and then I moved on to something else. But definitely cooking fried chicken at Hardee's was my first job, and probably my shortest job as well.
Denise, before you go, Josh just reminded me at Pizza Expo when Tony Gimignani told the story of his first job was at a McDonald's, and he didn't last through the first shift and he quit.
Yeah.
He's like, "This is not for me." So, Josh, you're not alone. Tony G didn't make it at Mickey D.
Got
Well,
a job at a video store after that. It was much better. Much better.
much easier. Well, I'll tell two restaurant things because one is I did not last a week at a well-known bar and grill that is a national chain. Uh, I was a server and it was awful. I hated dealing with just people were rude and the men, I was a young woman and the men and I didn't like it at all. It was bad and I quit within the first week. It was so bad. So servers, my hat is off to you. Serving is hard, and just dealing with the public day in and day out like that, it was just too much for me as a young woman. But I started out in restaurants working at racks, and I don't you if,
Never
unless
heard of
you are
that.
from
Two
um, you
X's.
know, Ohio, Indiana, a little bit of Kentucky. The Rax is it's like a roast beef restaurant, like Arby's. They're kind of known for roast beef, but I worked my way through there into management and things. And that job, it was hilarious because I worked in the kitchen most of the time. So, I had the chef hands where I could just grab hot potatoes out of the oven, didn't even think twice. I'd put the roast beef on the steamer with just my hands and like,
Yeah.
I mean, with a glove on, but and I didn't think twice about not having any protection on. So I think about having chef hands, and I think about today being able to grab things off the skillet, and I'm like, hey, I got that from working at Racks.
That's awesome. So many stories. You're hard pressed, but obviously the restaurant sector is the largest employer in America. You're hard
Yeah.
pressed to find, it's rare to come across someone who has not ever worked in a restaurant, whether as a server, a dishwasher, a hostess,
I'm not
something.
sure if I trust you if you haven't worked. And honestly, that's something off, and I just really don't trust you that much if you haven't worked at a restaurant.
I'll never forget that when I was in that extra fancy steakhouse, and the wait was fairly substantial one evening. We were pushing a 2 hour wait, and a group of golfers, people that had been at the resort to play golf, and they came in all nice and dressed up, looking to be seated, and they were told it was going to be a 2 hour wait, and our host at the time was off at the kitchen. And so I was just standing up there as a placeholder temporarily. They came through. I said, yeah, this could be about a 2 hour wait. And one of the gentlemen reached in his pocket, pulled out a $50 bill and handed it to me and said, I think it'll be about a 2 minute wait. And I was like, yes, sir. I went and got him seated right away, had a nice $50 tip. And I probably should have been fired for that, but I'll never forget that.
Oh
Hey,
yeah.
$50 is $50 that
That's
time.
right.
Yeah, I mean, $50 then. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. I
When
mean,
you were
That's
I'm
making
not
right.
like
I'm not
Wait,
gonna
wait, what do you mean
425 an hour.
age
then? How old do you think I am,
I'm not
Denise?
gonna age you, Jeremy, but
I
$50
This
then was
wasn't
a lot more.
1894, Denise. I couldn't buy
you
a
were
home with $50.
you were making 425 an hour easy. That's probably what it
Yeah.
Oh
was.
yeah.
Oh yeah, because
Yeah.
minimum wage when I started was it
425.
is it was it 415, and then it
It,
went
it
up
was right
to,
around that.
yeah, it was somewhere around there when I first started. So that'll age you really quick when you
When I
find
got
out.
moved to a management position, store manager at Subway, I was making $9 an hour. So
And that was big money.
That was big money.
yeah,
That
yeah.
was big money. I mean, and when we look at our careers, where have we spent the most time? We've spent the most time. I've spent the most time in my career here at Pizza
Hmm.
Today. This 2025 is my 14th year with Pizza Today. And I don't know if a lot of people realize how long we've been doing this, but I'm the newer one of us three. So
Yeah,
to say that like that I'm a
It,
veteran in this, and I've been able to see what's happening in the industry, and y'all know I love looking at like what's happening in the industry and being able to predict things
yeah,
moving forward. But yeah, it's from being here for that long. It's insane.
it's amazing.
yeah, January 3rd, I will be starting my 18th year at Pizza
Wow.
Today,
Wow.
Pizza Expo, and the changes in the industry over that time period is mind-boggling.
It is.
I mean, if I went back not too long ago and checked out a 2007 issue. Pizza Today was one of my
Yeah.
first ones,
Yeah,
and just from the stories to the art to the everything, that's the styles of pizza, everything has changed, and I think changed for the better as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
agree. I'm in my 25th year. It's a
Wow.
quarter of a century. Hey, look, I'm 49 years old, so I have spent
That's your
Your
life.
entire
half
adult
my
life.
life working for Pizza Today and Pizza Expo, and I love it. Obviously, you don't stay in a job for 25 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should be getting a Rolex soon, shouldn't I? Gold Rolex.
Right. You might get a Best Buy gift card,
Yeah.
Starbucks
So,
gift card.
But you know, and it's been such a pleasure and such an honor having both of you help drive what we do at Pizza Today. I fully at any time will fight to the death on this hill and say that the two best things I've ever done in my 25 years at Pizza Today is hire both of you.
Oh.
Really is the impact that you guys make is just it you guys are the primary reason 25 years into it, I still want to come to this job. So kudos to you guys for that. And yeah, it's been a great run. And to Josh's point, the changes. So
Mhm.
when I first started working at Pizza Today in the year 2000, two of the earliest stories I wrote were on smoking sections in restaurants and pizzerias, right? And when's the last time you've seen a smoke? You don't see them, right?
No.
And then I wrote an article on, and in 2000, this was a real question, okay? Should you be accepting personal checks as forms of payment from your customers? I mean, could you imagine going into a restaurant right tonight to have dinner with friends and you're gonna write a personal check to pay for your meal. Can you imagine that?
I want to do it just to see somebody's face be like, we don't take checks. Like who who
They
still
might
takes
not even know what it is.
checks?
They might not even know what it is.
I mean, Josh has told a story to me before about a long time ago. He handed I think it was a $2 bill to a worker at a Subway or something, and they just looked at it like,
This is not real.
this is
It's
not real.
fake.
This is fake.
Right.
I can't accept
Yeah.
this. And then, yeah, I'd like to see the look on a 19-year-old server's face if you handed them a personal check.
Yeah. And the fact that everything, I mean, like when I started, I mean, yes, there were phones, but we weren't using them as the only source of like our entertainment,
Yeah.
our
Wasn't a
communication, our
supercomputer.
social life. Like this is now like it all. What? I mean, how did we get here?
Performance Food Service is proud to deliver high quality products, innovative technology, and custom operational solutions to restaurants of all sizes across the country. The flagship division of Performance Food Group, with deep roots in the restaurant industry, Performance Food Service has been the exclusive distributor of the Roma family of brands for more than 65 years. This signature relationship has allowed Performance Food Service to become a leader in the pizza and Italian segment of food service nationwide.
I'm Genevieve Ruby, a fifth-generation dairy farmer here in Humboldt County, California. Did you know that 99% of California's dairy farms are family-owned? And we're proud to sustainably produce the milk that goes into quality cheeses you use to create your delicious pizzas. Thanks for helping make California not only America's #1 dairy state, but the leading producer of mozzarella too. We hope you enjoy this podcast.
I want to know everybody's first on location. Well, for you guys writing, for me, photography. What was your first?
Oh man. Go ahead, Denise.
Oh gosh. Okay.
While you guys are thinking, mine, mine was Spakanopoly.
Oh
Just
wow.
after it opened in Chicago, I was like, I went 0 to 100 real quick.
Yeah.
I'm from the Midwest. I had nothing but Midwest style pizza, and you know what that is. And I go to Spakanopoly in Chicago and meet Jonathan Goldsmith for the first time, and my mind was blown. And I
I
was
can
like,
imagine.
what is this? This is amazing. So yeah, it set the bar really high from the get-go for me.
That's
Wow.
amazing. Go
What an
ahead,
eye
Jeremy.
opener. What a great first trip. It's really hard to beat.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mine was not a mine was not a famed pizzeria. It was I think my first trip that wasn't just so we went up to Indianapolis and I think we went to Pyology, a little Neapolitan style
Yeah. Yeah, I
pizzeria. But
remember that.
my first overnight trip I think was St. Louis. And I'm trying to think of where we went in St. Louis because that's how long it's been. Oh, but the thing about traveling is you go to so many cities and you get to try so many different pizzas that it's really hard to really take it. But I think my favorite thing is from the first pizzeria all the way up until the most recent pizzeria I visited, the number of people that have catalogs of libraries of pizza
Yeah.
todays, and they walk me in the office and they're like, "Hey, come here, I want to show you," and they'll like show me their their
Yep.
huge
Dash.
stack of pizza todays. So while we've become this digital world, I think our operators still really love, the piece of a
Yeah.
magazine. I've got a whole stack behind me of just magazines. I mean, that's like, I don't know what year that is. But people love the tangible, just holding it in your hands.
Yeah,
Um,
there's no doubt our readers value print. When we were at our pizzeria of the year,
Yeah.
he proudly displayed a stack of hundreds of back issues of Pizza Today magazine going back well more than a decade. I mean, he
mhm.
he had a prodigious stack of Pizza Today
Yeah,
magazines. Hey, so my first trip was to Pittsburgh, a very famous Pittsburgh institution called Minio's Pizza House.
videos, yay.
Yeah, yeah. Met the brothers who are running the business, took over from the father. Outstanding pizza, great staff, really old school, straight up old school pizza.
Yeah,
And then I went across town to a place called Il Pizziolo, and it was the exact opposite. It was Neapolitan. This was in the year 2000. It was there weren't very many Neapolitan
yeah,
pizzerias in the United States at that time. In fact, they showed me their certificate. They were number seven. They were the seventh Neapolitan pizzeria to open in the United States to be certified. And to be very honest with everyone, and this is no disrespect to Ron, the owner, or his skills. It was me and my ineptitude and my greenness at that age. I didn't like it at all. I thought it was soupy. I thought it was wet. I was like, dude, this is not my style of pizza. I was very uneducated and I was just learning. And obviously I love it now.
mhm.
Have
Yeah.
grown to love Neapolitan pizza, but that was my very first exposure to it. Didn't like it at first.
I don't think we say enough about the early people with the Neapolitan in the U.S. and how much they had
Mhm.
to educate
Yes.
their
Yeah.
audience. I mean, talking about Jonathan Goldsmith, the Spaccanopoli,
Mhm.
Joe at Tutabella. I would just remember that was their biggest thing is educating people on their palate as far as that goes. So yeah,
What a
Yeah.
great point. I mean, 25 years later, I still know friends of mine, personal friends who have never had a Neapolitan pizza.
Yeah.
And even now, if you were opening a Neapolitan pizzeria in certain markets, certain states, you,
Yeah.
you you would still have that same learning curve and that same need for education. So
Yeah.
imagine back then, 20 and 25 years ago. I know the eye opener for Josh and me both were when he and I went to Tutabella
Yeah.
Neapolitan Pizzeria in Seattle, sit down with Joe Fougere, the owner and founder, and really got a truly first class education on
Yeah.
Neapolitan cuisine, and that really opened our eyes and was an amazing learning experience. But yeah,
and
first trip was to
culture.
Pittsburgh. It was a blast.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
culture with when we went to Tutabella.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Seeing a company with such a great culture, very ingrained in it, and it was really inspiring. Yeah, I still
A,
think about
a
that trip.
true coffee program, a true cocktail program, not just pizza. It was really a blueprint for future success, and Tutabella has had crazy good success, really ever since its inception. So,
Yeah.
congrats to the crew out there in Seattle if they're listening.
Oh, that's awesome. I think about like how when I started, like everybody fit into a certain box with their pizza style. You were either American Pan, you were you were going into New York, you were a New York slice,
Mhm.
you were fitting into these boxes. And I feel like today, more than ever before, there are so many pizzerias that are redefining what their style is and
Yeah.
not fitting into a style at all. There are so many people that are basically taking a style, or taking two styles, mashing them up a little bit and creating their own vision. And I think that we're just going to see that moving forward. It's just there's so many people that are just getting experimental and creative in their kitchens and trying to come up with something to differentiate themselves from their competitors. And it's a really fun thing to watch. I just, okay, so I just posted recently on our Instagram it was just a list of top 20 pizzerias based on all the
Yeah.
other lists. So
Yeah.
it wasn't me. I was just aggregating what's already out
They're
Right.
there.
If
gonna
you're not
pick
on
it.
And
that
so
list, don't hate Denise.
people were hating on me, and I'm like, hey, don't shoot the messenger. It came from others, especially people in New Haven, because New Haven did not get as much love. And I'm like, look, I love New Haven, all right. But it was just this list. But somebody said, hey, why don't you, instead of picking these pizzas, pick one that has a whole different style? And it happened to be, and I clicked through to it, and it was a pizzeria that specializes in a mashup between a pretzel and a pizza. Um, and so, like, people are really redefining how they're going to move forward with pizza, and I'm here for it, and I want to try them all.
There's a lot of noise. You got to set yourself apart. It's so much noise. And it's most days, most places you see don't just serve one style of pizza anymore. I mean,
Mm-mm.
it's the norm to have more than one style now.
Yeah.
Very true. The experimentation just all around. I mean, we see people blending flours. We see people saying, "Oh, you've got to use XYZ or you can't use XYZ." And there's so many theories flying around as everyone experiments, right? Sourdough, direct mix method, all everyone's trying everything, and I love it. I'm here for it. It keeps everything fresh and interesting.
There's
Yeah.
no better place to see that than the non-traditional category at Pizza
Oh,
Expo.
yeah.
And to see what everybody's just kind of throwing
Yeah,
against the wall, see what works. It's fun. It's definitely by far my favorite competition, and I just love seeing it.
Yeah,
agreed.
it's insane how amazing that is. You know, the 2025 Pizza Industry Trends Report, you can actually see that a little bit in the report of what's happening with that. Like you can see the flour combinations, you can see what people are talking about with the dough. Like everyone is getting very super sciencey. Sciencey is not a word, but I'm making it up anyway.
Hey,
Uh,
it's nice.
you know, but they're applying a very scientific method, and that makes me think of Dr. D out there, Derek Sanchez, because he's always kind of applied that science methodology
Yeah, for
to
sure.
to pizza. And so I would say if you're doing that and you want to talk about it, you need to email me, dgreer@pizzatoday.com, and we'll get you on the podcast and we can just spend a whole podcast just geeking out and talking about it. I'm here for it.
Absolutely.
Um, you know, I also, so I'll be posting in January for people to send me who their dream guest would be. If they wanted to hear anybody on the podcast, who that person would be. And I have my dream list. I have a list of people that I try to actively pursue to see if I can get either through their representation, because some of them have representation, um, or getting through because a lot of people that are higher up in just celebrity status or in their
Yeah.
fields or just don't want to be messed with, you have to go through the different funnels to get to them. So there are some folks that I'm going to be chasing down in 2025 to try to get them on the podcast. Um, but I'm curious, who would be your dream guest to go over, and maybe we can get our listeners to help us get them on the show.
Right. And also if there's a certain question we're not asking these operators that you're just wanting to know about in
Hmm.
general, please let us know. If we want
Yeah.
to, this is for you guys. This information is trying to get it to you. So yeah, let us know if there's a question that we're just not asking, and we can start asking it to the operators we have on.
Yeah, good point. Good point. And as far as the dream guest, wow, that's tough. I think I'm gonna go with Chris Bianco, who I do know Chris. I have a relationship with Chris. I was able to get him to deliver an outstanding keynote address at Pizza Expo. So maybe we can make that happen. I think right now that because we've never had him on the podcast, we've had some really major players on the podcast, right? Tony G, Sarah Minnick, John
Yeah,
Arena, the list goes on. But we've never had Chris on the podcast, so that's
yeah.
probably put him at the top of my hit list right now.
How about you, Josh? Who would you?
I, you put me on the spot here. I really don't know. Because we've interviewed so many great guests.
Well over 200.
Yeah,
Yeah.
please throw one of yours out there that you have on your wish list and see if it manifests.
All right, I'm gonna throw this one out there. He's somebody that has influenced the industry in a major way, and y'all know where I'm going. I want to see Dave Portnoy on our podcast. I want him to talk directly to pizzeria operators, let him know his thinking, and also he does a lot of support for pizzeria operators out there. So I'd love to talk to him about, his support for the industry and what he's doing because I really feel like he has contributed a lot to a lot of pizzerias. And I'd like to hear from him directly to be able to talk to the industry. So if you have an ear for Dave Portnoy, let us know.
Yeah, right. I don't believe I've heard of a conversation that is just straight pizza talk with Dave, other than his YouTube. But like a straight up conversation about pizza and everything. That would be fantastic. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you know who else is technically in the pizza industry is Mr. Shaquille O'Neal. So we might as well get the Shaq. Might as well get Shaq on as well.
I love that. Let's do it. And then I would really like to get all, every one of the kind of the iconic pizzerias. I would love to sit down and have conversations with those owners because those are legacy pizzerias, and we've got to get those conversations now. I feel like it's kind of a pressing need as those go on to the next generation. So to hear from the first generation about those
Yeah.
pizzerias would be fantastic.
I mean, we were in either one of us or all of us at different times have been in Totano's, DeFara,
Hmm.
Grimaldi's, um, while the founders were still living. It would have been amazing to have been able to get them all on the same stage at a Pizza and Pasta Northeast event or at Pizza
Yeah.
Expo in Vegas, or to get them all. We didn't have a podcast way back then, right? But to
Hmm.
get them all on a podcast or something like that would have been amazing. And to your point, Denise, there are still some real really important and influential lifetime Hall of Fame pizzeria members out there that we should get to while they're still active.
Yeah.
And as soon as this podcast ends, I'm going to think of someone. But
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
right
and they
now,
just
I don't have it right now.
yeah. And that's what comments are for. You can just
Right.
when we throw this on social media, tell us who you want us to interview. And it doesn't have to be a big name. I mean, there are a lot of people doing amazing work right now. There are pizzerias that have gone through so much turbulence and have rose from the ashes and have hugely successful businesses. And those are the folks I want to talk to because I want to talk to how they were able to get through it and thrive, because that's what we want to
Yeah.
know. We want to help other operators be successful, and hearing how people are doing it, that's the key right there.
But another dream guest, and I think that as we get closer to Pizza Expo, I something tells me we can make this one happen. William T. Oakley, Mr. Bill Oakley.
Yeah, we haven't heard from Bill in a long time.
It's time to get Bill back on the podcast.
I love it.
Yes, it
Bill's
really
such a good
is.
guy.
How many years has Bill been with us?
So I 187. I don't know. I'm in my
The
25th year,
vampire.
and when I got here, Bill was already a veteran. So I don't know, but we're gonna ask him when we bring him on leading up to Pizza Expo. We're going to ask him. There have been 40. This will be 40, the 41st Pizza Expo.
Yeah.
I've been to 25. Bill's been to more than me. He's not been all 41, but man, he's been 30, 30 or more for sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hey, if you've been to all of them,
Hit
you
us
need
up.
to email me. Email me because I want to talk to you. If you've been to every Pizza Expo
Yes.
that we've
Yeah.
had, we want to hear from you. That would
That
be
would
an
be a great
amazing,
podcast before Expo.
amazing
That would
feat.
be fantastic. And I met
Yeah.
a gentleman last year who stepped into our Pizza Today photo booth who
Yeah.
had been to every Pizza Expo.
That's right.
I
Yeah.
love
So,
it.
yeah.
That's right.
I love
And
it.
John Arena has been to every Pizza Expo. These people are out there.
I
They're not
know.
many, but they are out there.
I love it. I love it. So let's close out because it's 2025. What's the biggest things that you're looking forward to this year? Because I have a huge list, but I could probably narrow it down to some really hard-hitting pizza things. Um, but what are some things that you're really looking forward to?
For me, it's Pizza Expo Columbus.
Yeah.
I am so
Yeah,
excited about this show. It, ever since we visited the site and
Yeah.
saw the location, saw the convention center, I've been in love with it. It's
yeah.
like all the hotels and restaurants are within walking distance. So once you arrive in Columbus, you just park your car and you don't have to use it again. And it's just a great vibe all around. And I think the Midwest really needs a really good pizza show, and I think that's what we're going to give them.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. For me, it's also Pizza Expo Columbus. Really looking forward to that. Just like Josh said, I fell in love with the convention center. I fell in love with the seminar rooms upstairs.
Yeah.
They're phenomenal. It's
Mhm.
going to be a great show. There are some really good pizzerias within walking distance. So I'm
Yeah.
excited. I'm most excited about Pizza Expo Columbus.
Yeah, I'm excited for three things. And I'll tell you what those are. Pizza Expo, because there is nothing more energizing than being with all of the pizza family at Pizza Expo. There is nothing more energizing. I come back with just like 100 new story ideas from going to Pizza Expo. Love it, love it, love it. And then Pizza Expo Columbus, I'm super jazzed. To experience it. I have been to the Columbus Convention Center, but it's been a while, but it is right in the mix of everything. So I'm excited to see what we do there. The other thing is um, I'm excited to see who we name Pizzeria of the Year in 2025. Uh, because it's a big honor and I'm excited to see where we go with it because, it's still up in the air right now.
It's bad that we can only name one because there's so many that deserve it. It is the pizza industry, I think, is as strong as it's ever been, and
Mhm.
as tasty as it's ever been as well.
Yeah. But that's
Amen.
why we also created these other ways to honor pizzerias. We have the Pie Awards. We have the pizzerias to watch lists. We have uh, the new operator or sorry, not young entrepreneur. I'm losing my mind. The the operators to watch list. We
Yeah.
find new ways to bring more and more people into the fold. So that's what I'm going to be looking at in 2025 too, is finding even more ways to showcase all of the great operators that are out there in the world. Because with tens of thousands of pizzeria operators, there's so many that deserve recognition.
Yeah. Well said, Denise.
All right, kids. Well, 2025, let's roll. Let's get into it.
Let's do this.
We got this.
All
All
right,
right.
see you, gang.
See
See you
ya.
guys.